Hello again. Thank you for joining us. Today I'd like to tell you a little bit about my life. You may know that I studied engineering and I was backed by an engineering company in England to do this. And at the end of my 3 years at university and 2 years with the company, I was offered 3 jobs. I didn't know which job to take. I had no idea. And I'm sitting with the managing director and he asked me a question. Have you ever been interested in India? And I said, well, yes, I have been, because my grandparents had both been missionaries in Madras. My mother had been born in Madras. We'd grown up with India in the background. So I said, well, yes, I have been. And the managing director, he and I, neither of us were Christians. He then said, well, if you take this job, there's a good chance you'll go to India. And I was quite amused at that looking back, because God moves in sovereign ways to get us into the right place for him to move. So I took that job, I started traveling the world, and I did go to India 3 times. On my 3rd visit to India, there was a young lady joined the aircraft in Kuwait, and I saw her coming down the aisle, and I turned to 2 colleagues who were with me and said, isn't she beautiful? Anyway, we got to know her a little bit, and that she served us and so on. The journey went on and on and on, but finally towards the end, one of my colleagues, who was from another engineering company in his 40s, he said to this lady, you've been so good to us, you've looked after us so well, you must come and have a meal with us. And she said something like, oh, sure. And went off. A little bit later, this man got out his diary and said to her, so when will you come? And she said, well, I can't really accept invitations from passengers, you know. And I turned to him, my only contribution to the conversation, I must say. And I said to him, I told you she wouldn't come. And that so challenged this young lady. She said, okay, I will come. Well, she did come and meet with the 3 of us in the hotel. And to cut a long story short, I discovered that she and I could talk very well together. We could communicate excellently. And she then told me how she'd become a Christian from a Hindu background. And after a couple of times of meeting, she said, look, I'm a Christian, you're not. I think I better stop seeing you. And I said, well, the least you can do is to take me to this meeting you've told me about in Bombay. And she said, if you're so interested, you can find it for yourself. Well, finding anything in Bombay is a challenge at the best of times, and for a foreigner, it's even more difficult. In the end, I persuaded her to take me to the meeting. So I went to this meeting in Bandra in Bombay, and for the first time, I saw a group of people who were actually enjoying being in the presence of God. They were singing good songs, singing cheerful, happy songs, and the preacher preached. I don't know what he preached, but it was very good. And I just thought, there's something nice about this. At the end of the meeting, the preacher, who was a man called Alan Vincent, invited me to come and have a meal with him the following Thursday evening before the meeting. Very clever strategy. And of course, I was always hungry in those days. So I said, yes, sure, I'd love to come and have a meal. So I went and had a meal, and we then went from the meal the following Thursday evening, 20th of December, 1973. We went to this meeting. Once again, I saw the life and the vitality going on there. Somewhere during the course of his preaching, Alan Vincent asked this great question: is there anyone here who wants to receive Jesus as their Lord and Savior? And that is the question. I just thought, I didn't have a great revelation or anything like this, but I just thought, these people have got something that I don't have. So I raised my hand, and nobody said anything. No one commented. No one prayed for me. So I put my hand down again. I must admit, I raised it like an Englishman, not with a wild expression like others might do, just up to my shoulder. But we just carried on. Afterwards, this young lady, whose name was Vasanti, asked me, did you raise your hand? And I said, oh, yes. And she was very excited about it. But I didn't really feel anything. So 2 days later, I was flying back to England for Christmas. This was now the 22nd of December. And Alan had given me a little New Testament. And I opened up this New Testament sitting on the plane. And I came to a verse in Luke chapter 2. Lord, now lettest thou thy servant depart in peace, according to thy word. For mine eyes have seen thy glory. And I thought, it suddenly dawned on me, that is what has happened. I'm departing in peace, for my eyes had seen his glory. And that was how I realized I had become a Christian.